It's the My Michelle Live podcast.
My Michelle Live, Health Watch. She's writing a prescription for hope. Here's Michelle.
On Health Watch today, stay tuned for brain health. You will be so much smarter and so grateful for what you're going to hear on today's show. So not only will you find out what it takes to expand your mind, to become a mentalist extraordinaire, you'll find out how that can impact your everyday life. This is really exciting. This man, he's my new friend, and I am just crazy about him. He is such a fun guy. What a story Jim Karol has. Now, Jim has been seen by millions. Ellen DeGeneres, Howard Stern, big stages, USO, all over the world. He is the author of this book, Ultimate Memory Magic, and he is our guest today. Jim, it's good to see your beautiful face again.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. Good to see yours as well. We had a lot of fun the last time we talked.
And last time we talked, I cannot stop talking about it, and you have to see this. You have to see this. Would you mind showing our friends who are watching what you can do with a deck of cards?
What actually, a deck of cards is like my life. It saved my life. It started off with a deck of cards, and this little thing right here, back in the day, it saved my life twice. All right. Right before I got married, I worked in a steel mill in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and I got laid off, lost my job, didn't know what to do. We were married. We had one child, another one on the way. And I'm like, what do I do now? Living here in Allentown, like the Billy Joel song, you like rock and roll. Well, hey, Billy Joel, it's almost like that song was made about me. So I took my wife's Avon account, went door to door. Look at what I look like. I'm 6'3", 240. Hey, you want to buy some Avon?
Okay.
And I would take my deck of cards and show card tricks, and I became one of the most popular card Avon. I think probably the only card Avon salesperson, and then Avon hired me to do a show with these big screens on the side of me, Michelle, and they zoomed in on a card, this one card routine that I did, and here I am 5,000 shows later. So cards saved me back then and got me on a track to become this professional entertainer. And then at the age of 49, it happened again. I had a heart problem and got on my bike, had to ride this exercise bike to get healthy, and it was so boring that I would take my cards and I would look through chunks of cards and try to memorize them just to keep from being bored, not knowing it would turn into this. And I'll show you what this is. Watch. I could now take the cards, and this is what I used to do on my bike every day just to try to get back in shape, because I had cardiomyopathy, a super enlarged heart, and so now, say for example, here, we'll mix them up some more. Now you go like this. I don't know how well you can see these cards, but I could look through them like this, and I would try to memorize chunks of cards just to keep from being bored on the bike. And now I could just look at them, talk at the same time, and let's see. I am done. Ready? I'll close my eyes. Michelle, just say yes or no. Is the top card a six of spade?
Yes.
Is the next card a queen of spade?
Oh, yes.
Then an eight of club, an ace of diamond, a five of heart, a nine of club, a seven of club, a two of spade, an ace of heart, a 10 of diamonds, then two black fives, a club and a spade. Then a three of hearts, a four of spade, a 10 of spade, two sixes, a heart and a club, an eight of diamond. Then I believe it's a king of club, a five of diamond, a four of hearts, six of diamond, jack of diamond, two of club, three of club, queen of diamond, nine of heart, nine of spade, et cetera, et cetera. This is what I did on my exercise bike at the age of 49, and led me into this new path of memory and exercising your brain. And to make a long story short, today I no longer have cardiomyopathy, and it was the first time my doctor seen a reversal of an enlarged heart. So this actually helped me physically as well. And
I can't even remember where I put my keys.
Let me tell you something about that. That's amazing you're saying that. I have a friend, see, it has nothing to do with memory. When a person, like you folks are listening, when you lose something and you can't find it, that doesn't mean your memory's going bad. It's all to do with focus. All right, I'll give you an example. I'm down in Florida at Universal Studios with a good friend of mine, Tony Dattino. He's the founder of the USA Memory Championships. And I was like, I just did a talk right before we went there at Florida Hospital, and they introduced me. Here's the man with the world's greatest long-term memory. So We go down, do our show, and we went to Universal Studios. I call my wife. I go, oh my gosh, Lynn, I'm back down in Disney World. This is great, because we haven't been down since taking the kids. Tony's on the phone with his girlfriend. All right. We park the car. We go into Universal, get something to eat. We're coming out about 3 hours later after shopping and everything else. Neither one of us knew where the car was parked. He's yelling at me, making fun of me. You're the world's greatest nerd. I go, we found her. Had nothing to do with memory. We weren't focused. I'm on the phone. He's on the phone. And just like with your keys, you're such a busy young lady. Your mind's all over the place. It's just focus when you forget that.
That's great. You just made me feel so much better. I can feel the collective sigh of relief from anyone who may be listening going, all right, thank you. I love that. Jim, you've had a spectacular career. You have been all over the world. You've connected with some of the most amazing people that many of us would recognize, all starting from that little deck of cards there. Tell me a story about one of the most spectacular places that you've been that you just can't forget.
I'll tell you the perfect story. So my wife loves Steven Tyler from Aerosmith, madly in love with this guy. All his albums, every song, word for word. You talk about memory, she has every song. That's what memory is all about. If you're really passionate about something, your memory will work. All right. So we're in a jacuzzi one day, and I said, one day you're going to meet him. And she goes, yeah, sure. I said, yeah, you're going to meet him. I guarantee it. So I'm performing in Boston. It was a university, Northeastern University, and this young boy comes up to me. He's a freshman. I was doing a freshman orientation. And then he goes, yeah, I know Steven Tyler's daughter. I date her and everything else. And I go, Steven Tyler has a daughter? Yeah. Oh yeah, I date her. I go, she works at a place called Mount Blue in the South Shore of Boston. And this and that. And Steven Tyler, I think he owns the place. I go, come on. I canceled my hotel that night, drove down to the South Shore of Boston. Sure enough, I see this place called Mount Blue. I'm like, wow, it's about 12 o'clock at night. I walk into the place. Right? And there's all this Aerosmith paraphernalia hanging up. Sure enough, the bartender goes, yeah, Steven Tyler and Joe Perry own this, and so there's someone in the back. I don't want to give her name out. And so she comes out. She's one of the co-owners. I start showing her tricks and everything else. And she goes, I go, yeah, my wife's madly in love with Steven, blah, blah, blah. It's her biggest song. And she goes, what are you doing December 16th? I go, why? She goes, we're having a party here. She goes, I'd love to hire you. You'll be here. I'm like, oh, my gosh. What is the chance that that happen, right? So I booked the date, and I take my wife out. I don't let her know what we're going to do. I just
you didn't.
I said, we're going to go to Boston. I said, I think Steven owns this place we're going to eat at, And I didn't tell her that he's going to be there, right? So we go there. I rent a limo and everything from the hotel, and we go in there, and I start performing, and all of a sudden I see Steven walk in the back of the room, and he's talking to his daughter. And after the show's over, he goes, Madman, get how Steven Tyler explicitly words, get over. So I started showing him tricks and everything else, and I forgot about my wife. My wife's standing over there. I go, Steven, my wife, she's your biggest fan. And he goes, oh, she's cute. She starts walking over to her. And I thought she was just going to pass out. The young lady that booked the show, I told her I would do it for free. Just hook it up that my wife could meet him and everything else. So he starts kissing her on the neck and everything else. He gave us, then he's singing to her, Janie's Got a Gun and stuff like that. He gave us backstage passes because we told him we were taking our kids to Orlando, to Disney World. We had a concert down there, front row seat, the nicest man in the world. So my wife got to meet him and hang out with him for an hour. That's the most amazing thing that ever happened. The nicest man in the world, because he's just the nicest guy. I could feel the energy from him. Just from hanging out with him that evening and hugging him and stuff. He's a very energetic guy, very passionate.
See, this is how I feel about you and why it's so much fun to have you on the program today. There is something deeper about what you're sharing. And part of that is a lesson that you live out in your life, that your mind can do so much. You stand on a little bit of faith. You're going to meet him someday. When you don't inhibit yourself with your own negativity and your own negative confession, good things can happen.
I totally agree with that. And let me tell you something else too. I have a whole memory system now that we all know about this. I call it cognitive intelligence. But what it's based on is when I had the heart problem at the age of 49, I'm riding my exercise bike and I had to memorize 52 cards. I wanted to memorize it. I had to do this. I just had to do it. So I would make an anchor list of 52 celebrities. I took the 52 top people from People magazine at the time when I was 49. I put them on the back. This is a playing card. I put them on the front of the playing card, their name, and on the back I would put a number. Like Michael Jordan would be number 23, Denzel Washington number 1, because Washington was the first president, to make it easy to remember.
Ah, okay.
And once I memorized these celebrities, they became my anchors. And to make a long story short, the first 100 celebrities, that was my original anchor system. Here's the ironic thing about it. And these were all A-listers, from Alice Cooper, Steven Tyler, a lot of rock stars. I'm into rock and roll as well. And like Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, people like that. And they're all on this list. I had them all memorized. And then I memorized chunks of information to them. Like right now, each person to me means like over 200 different things. And that's what my mental matrix memory system is. But here's why I'm telling you this, Michelle. As of today, I've met 88 of those 100 celebrities and became friends with them. What is that? What is that?
Wow.
I'm a steel worker. I barely made it out of high school. Why am I meeting all these people and stuff like that? So it's like that book, The Secret, and the movie. That this is really whatever you could have anything you want. Look, let me tell you something. This power of belief is a power that everybody has in them. And if you really truly believe and unleash that power, it's like a superpower. I can't even describe it. But you got to let it seep into every nook and cranny of your body, every cell and neuron in your brain and heart. If you truly believe in anything, you could have it. It really works. And that's what I've discovered from the age of 50 to where I'm at now, 69. It's bizarre.
So you live out the aspect of faith. And I'm a firm believer that fear will paralyze us. Fear will keep us from doing spectacular things. Fear is oftentimes faith working in the wrong direction. It sounds to me like what you are really encouraging people to do is unleash this amazing. In my worldview, we're created in the image of God, and you cannot get a more spectacular brain than the creator of all the universe. And yet, if we're created in his image, we have more potential than we ever dreamt of. And you are tapping into some of that.
I haven't always been like this. I worked in a steel mill, barely made it out of high school. I don't know where this is all coming from, but it's coming to me now, and I'm trying to share it as much as possible. That's why I developed this program called Cognitive Intelligence, and I share it with seniors. I share it with military. I go back and forth to Walter Reed. I help wounded warriors with PTSD, traumatic brain injury. In the process of doing all this, I discovered that this not only helps the injured brain, it helps the average brain, and the above average brain become superhuman. So this thing is like really cool. So then I wanted to start a podcast, and I'm going to call my next podcast Jimmy the Brain. And the topic would be having doctors on talking about brain health, talking about athletes, a lot of athlete friends of mine. I have numerous athletes, and a lot of them, unfortunately, are suffering from this thing called CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, from getting hit in the brain. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I do use my brain now and my memory to study the brain, and I've learned so much. And that's where my passion is right now, to have a podcast to reach as many people as I can. Because when I do these workshops, I'm reaching 20 people at a time, and that's great. And if I could get 2 or 3 of those 20 people excited, I've accomplished something. But if you reach 20,000, if you reach 20 million, so I just want to spread this. It's positive mental energy. That's what I want to spread. And we all need it right now. The world needs it.
Yeah, we do.
This positive mental energy, it does something to you.
Thinking about what takes place in a person's body to expand your mind, to do extraordinary things, to walk in health, to walk in life. That's what we were created to do. So tapping into that's your passion. You love people, and I love that about you. I want to hear a little bit about your book, Ultimate Memory Magic.
And the Ultimate Memory Magic, I came up with that idea. I was going on tour. I do a lot of USO tours, and the one was a real special tour because Scarlett Johansson was going on that tour, and Captain America, Chris Evans, was on the tour with me. Ray Allen, a famous three-point basketball shooter. So that was one of my tour of tours. I love that tour. We went around the world with the USO, and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. It was a chairman's holiday tour. The chairman at the time was Joe Dunford, nicest man in the world. So we had a blast. And then, so before we went on a tour, I met this little doctor. He's about 5'0". He comes up to me, a friend of mine introduced me to him, and his name was Dr. Daniel Amen. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? And we just hit it off. All my focus was on this guy. This guy was a genius. He was describing everything I experienced. I said, I'm a steel worker. I don't know what I'm doing. Half the stuff I do, I don't even know how I'm doing it. And so he's explaining everything to me, and we become dear friends. And I said, Daniel, I want to write a book, Ultimate Memory Magic. And so if you look on the book, you'll see he wrote the foreword on the book, Dr. Daniel Amen. And that's what, I don't know. It's just, who am I to write a book on memory? I barely made it out of high school and college. You know what I mean? And now I have a memory book. It's a lot. And I wrote other books but I don't like to talk about it. This one here was my first book. This is the old Jim Karol, and that's 51 ways to hustle your friends. That's where my mind was years ago. And that's, when I say hustle, I don't mean hustle. That's just tricks that you can pull on people. So how do you evolve from this to this? The Jim Karol, this psychic madman going around the country. They called me psychic because in 1990, I correctly predicted the Pennsylvania daily number. That's another story. I don't even know if you know about that. That was a dream I had. The dream, I'm laying in bed. Yeah, true story. I'm laying in bed and all of a sudden the phone rings. I'm like, hello. And the voice goes, Jim, you were right. The Pennsylvania daily number was 222 on December 22nd. And I woke up. I'm like, what the heck was that? So I wrote the number down. I fell back asleep. I wake up in the morning and I'm rushed. Remember, like we said, when you're not focused, your memory isn't working properly. I wasn't focused. I'm rushing around. It was November 8th, 1990. So I hop in the car. Before I hopped in the car, I went back in. I forgot something. My wife was making the bed. She goes, what's this? It shows me this note at the side of my bed. It said 222. And all of a sudden, the whole dream clicked. It took that note. Good thing I wrote it down. And I told her about this dream I had. I said, this dream was so vivid. So I hopped in the car, went down to Philadelphia. Right at the end of my show, I hold up a sign. I said, play 222, December 22nd on a Pennsylvania daily number. You will win. I had 32 shows between that date and December 22nd, Michelle, like holiday parties and things like that. And I would hold up this sign, play 222. December 22nd comes. Absolute true story. I would never lie about something like this. I had a show that night, so once again, I'm rushing around. That's you got to try to maintain that focus. And I rush home to see what the number was, all right? And I see my voicemails, and it said, I hit it, and it goes, you have 67 messages in your mailbox. I'm like, wow, usually 6 or 7, not 67.
Yeah.
I start playing them. The third message, the voice goes, Jim, you were right. The Pennsylvania daily number was 222. Same voices in the dream. And it ended up being a guy named Ken Hansen, who was a fire chief of a fire department that I did a holiday party for. And I started playing all the other messages, and it was the same thing. Oh, thanks a lot. We want this, we want that. It was an amazing thing. How does this stuff happen? That's what launched this whole thing and inspired this whole book. And that's where I'm at today. From 1990 is when the first thing that I could recall that was weird started, with that daily number prediction. Right? And from then, and now the dreams are back, and they're like more powerful than ever. Boy, they're coming to me like you wouldn't believe. It's crazy. You got to maintain a positive, happy attitude. Things will come to you. It really does. You can't give up. Never give up hope. You got to always maintain this positive attitude. And sometimes it takes longer. Like me, look at 69. It took me 69 years to realize this. So if you could realize this at the age, like what are you, 25?
Hardly. His mind might be good, his eyes, I don't know. But hey, you know,
I babbled off there, but I get excited about this stuff.
It is exciting, especially because of your heart, Jim, that you're making a difference in people's lives. You say you're 69, but you have like the brain capacity of a teenager, the brain elasticity. We have toxified ourselves. We have poisoned ourselves in our bodies with the things that we're exposed to, and in our minds with the things we expose ourselves to. So this is like a chance to have a bit of a mind reset. And I am absolutely loving it. I'd love to let our audience know where they could see some of your awesome performances, where they can get your book. And I would recommend you go to jimkarol.com. You see that up on your screen if you're watching. jimkarol.com. Jim, what can we find there?
Well, I'm in a process right now of revamping that as well. That has some of the older stuff when I used to be the psychic man. I didn't even call myself that. Somebody else nicknamed me that, you psychic madman, because they thought I was a psychic because I predicted the lottery. Trust me, I'm not a psychic. I'm not a psychic, and I'm not a madman. They called me a madman because I worked in a steel mill, and I used to saw people in half with chainsaws when I first started. I had long hair. So it was a different Jim Karol back then. And then I was enlightened when I had this heart experience at 50, and I changed the whole show into memory and mind and positive energy. And that's where I'm at today. And it's just constantly evolving. But Jim Karol, Karol.com is the website. And right now, the main thing I want to get is this mental intelligence workshops. Everybody, this is so cool. So cool to learn because it helps with your focus, your memory, your self-esteem. It stimulates creativity, energy like you wouldn't believe. I'm like, when we're done here, I'm going to go in here and lift weights like I did when I was 20.
I love it.
Come from this energy, this mind, this positive mental energy is so cool. It's just so cool. I wish everybody could I wish I could just touch the screen and it just goes to everybody, that energy.
Well, see, it does. If people tune into your podcast, if they go to jimkarol.com, if they pick up your books, that's what we're going to get. You have a gift to give and you are willing to give it. I want to encourage you to go to jimkarol.com. You can also find a link at mymichellelive.com. What I love about Jim's passion is that he has met some of the tip top of Hollywood and sports figures. He knows everyone. But you know who his passion is for? His passion is for you. His passion is to make a difference in your world. And I love that about Jim. So I'd encourage you to go to jimkarol.com to get more information. And a shameless plug for one of our sponsors, one of our affiliates that can also help you with your memory. All of us lose collagen from the time we're 15. It just seeps out of our body. And those are the things that can give us memory and energy, help us sleep better, to help with achy joints. It is like a fountain of youth in a bottle when you pick up Calitrin.
No other.
Sending you back to your 30s.
Say wow again with Calitrin.
At mymichellelive.com.
Make sure that you go to mymichellelive.com and you can see all of our cool stuff there. You can get Jim's book right there. You can get a link to our friend Jim Karol. Jim, thank you for hanging out with us today. I guess I could say it's absolutely illuminating. It's been such a blessing. Thanks again.
Well, thank you for having me, Michelle.
And I hope you'll join us again. And you, like us, share us, comment. We're My Michelle Live.
More entertainment at mymichellelive.com.